Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by Good Marketing and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
Michiganders have pretty solid access to quality baseball. Most are loyal to their beloved Detroit Tigers, but if you roam around the state, you can find serious baseball in most cities. Here to discuss the kickoff of their 30th season is the general manager for the Lansing Lugnuts, Mr. Zac Clark. Welcome to the show, Zac.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me in, man. I'm excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you. You know, I've had your predecessor on a couple of times in years past, and I'm grateful to meet you, and really excited to talk about this commemorative year. So, I know the season's already started. We're recording this in kind of early-ish, almost mid-April, so you've got a week under your belt. I think the team is now on the road for the week. But when the season's off, I was there Friday night and got to see it. So 1996. Seems like the blink of an eye ago for an old guy like me, but it's been 30 years already.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's been 30 years. I mean, I grew up in Dansville, Michigan, so I've been around the area and remember going to games as a kid and stuff. So it's kind of, surreal to think about that too, that we've been here for 30 years and, being involved with the Lugnuts now, it's a dream come true for me. But, 30 years, it's like, man, where did the time go? How did this happen,
So what kind of path does a person like you take to get to be a general manager of a high A affiliate baseball team?
Yeah, I did my undergrad at Central Michigan University, and, I was fortunate to be there at a good time when the sport management program was on the rise. And I actually went there to try to be a history teacher. That was my first career aspiration, and then that didn't really work out, and I kind of fell into sport management. So the best way to think about a sport management degree is, it's a business management degree. You can pick your path. You can go into marketing, sales, finance. You can do all that, but it's just focused in sports, in the business of sports. So it felt like a really good fit. When I was wanting to be a teacher, I really wanted to teach because I wanted to coach.
Okay.
And,
sure.
I just thought there was a better way for me to stay involved with the game. And I knew nothing of sport management at the time. It was kind of newer. It's big now, but it was kind of newer. It was kind of just starting, and not every school has a program, kind of a thing. And I was really lucky that Central had one, and I thought, let's try this out. And so I did. And, my goal was always to try to be the GM of the Lugnuts at some point. I didn't know it would happen this quickly. But that was, when I found out about it and started researching, and I was like, okay, this is going to be my goal. Let's just see what happens. And, you mentioned my predecessor, Tyler. He's a Dansville guy too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
So I knew him from high school. We were both at Central sort of at the same time. He was in the master's program and I was in the undergrad program, but then he took a job in Forest City, North Carolina.
Yep.
And after that season, he took the job in Martinsville, Virginia. And that year is the year that I needed an internship to finish up my coursework at CMU. So I just called Tyler and said, hey, I need an internship. He's like, yeah, come on down to Martinsville, Virginia. I'm like,
wow, okay.
Great, I'll be there, Knew nothing about it. Got down there, things went really, really well. And then Tyler jumped to Johnson City, Tennessee with the Cardinals. So I went with him over there. We were in Johnson City for 3 seasons. And then, for me, it was just an opportunity to kind of grow, my skill set with the Asheville Tourists and focus on sponsorships. And Tyler and I both kind of felt like I had kind of accomplished everything I needed to accomplish in Johnson City. So I jumped over to Asheville and did that for a year. And then that year came to an end, and Tyler took the job in Lansing and opened up the door for me in Johnson City to go back and be the GM. So I went back to Johnson City for 3 years, and COVID changed the world. And there was, fortunately for me, there ended up being an opportunity to come back to Lansing and be the AGM. So, Tyler and I worked 7 or 8 years together, I think, just kind of bouncing around the South doing our thing. And he got the opportunity to come back to Lansing, which kind of opened the door for me. And so, my path is really atypical. It's very strange. It's just not what most people, go through.
Right on.
But it worked out, and here we are.
Well, before we talk about the season and all the things that go along with that, so your day-to-day role. I mentioned the team is on they're kind of home for a week and gone away for a week. You don't travel with the team?
No. So I can, and I can go and hang out and check some things out. But for us, it's more, if West Michigan's home, or if Great Lakes are home, or maybe Toledo or Erie or something more regional, Fort Wayne, South Bend, it's more market research for us if we go on the road. If we go watch the Lugnuts play somewhere, we're just trying to see what, one of those teams are doing for their fan experience, and what does their game day menu look like, and that kind of thing.
So you're more programming than talent on the field and wins and losses, and batting averages and that kind of stuff. Okay.
So that's the best way to kind of describe my job is I'm in charge of all of the business operation. So if you look at the organization as a whole and you split it straight down the middle, the baseball operation would be on one side and the business operation would be on the other. The baseball operation is pretty much handled by the athletics. Player contracts, trades, call-ups, send-downs, between the athletics and MLB. That's just, I'm kind of the liaison. I'm kind of the boots on the ground for anything that's needed locally. But I'm really more in charge of the marketing, the sales, the stadium operations, the special events, the list goes on and on that side of it. But that's more my focus. So it's kind of hard to turn off. If my wife and I went to a Tiger game, or if we go to a Spartan football game, or if we do go to another minor league game, I'm just kind of scanning around, looking around. Oh, that was cool. I like this idea. I'm constantly putting notes in my phone.
Right. Look at this trash can concept. How these cool banners and the way they're sponsored. But I mean, it's the functionality of the fan experience.
Yeah, and we'll go in and I'll see, so-and-so sponsored this thing. And I'm like, man, we haven't been able to get in with them, but I could call and say, hey, I was at a Tiger game or a Spartan game or a whatever game, and you guys were sponsoring this cool thing. Would you like to do something similar in Lansing, and open up conversations? So it's like I said, it's kind of market research, and just kind of seeing what people are doing, what can we steal. I mean, every good idea in minor league baseball is stolen, right? Like nothing's...
Borrowing brilliance.
Borrowing brilliance, yeah. Nothing is original.
Right.
Everything is pretty much stolen. So, getting the chance to go and do that is, it's not work to me. I mean, it's still fun. I still enjoy the environments and the games and the atmosphere. But, I come home with a load, a note on my phone that's just bullet point after bullet point of like, hey, team, here's what I saw. What do you guys think about any of these ideas? And then we kind of ping pong them back and forth until we find something we want to try to do.
How big is your team?
Right now, we're close to 20 full-time. And then from an internship perspective, I think there's probably another 12, maybe 15, because on the marketing side, they're game day interns. So they just come in for the games and they don't hang out, non-game days and when the team's on the road. But sales, like ticket sales and stadium operations, there's 5 of those interns that are, full-time, quote unquote. So it kind of swells when the team's at home. And then from a game day perspective, it depends on the night. Like when you were there Friday, it was a little cold and the crowd was a little down. So we probably didn't have as many, but on a warm Friday or Saturday night in the heart of the summer, I mean, we're probably running anywhere from 85 to 125 game day employees, just depending on the crowd and the weather and what we're doing. But yeah.
Nice. Well, I want to give a nod to our friends at Good Marketing. Here at Michigan Reimagine, we tell stories of passionate Michiganders doing great things across the state. Today's podcast sponsor, Good Marketing, helps organizations tell those stories in powerful and measurable ways. As a behavior change accelerator, Good partners with mission-driven clients to inspire action, shift mindsets, and strengthen communities. From advancing affordable housing to protecting natural resources and expanding education and workforce opportunities, their work moves Michigan forward. See how they're helping shape Michigan's future at goodmarketing.com. That's GUD marketing.com. So I mentioned, obviously, it's the 30th anniversary, right? So as the person trying to sprinkle the fun, this has got to be kind of a year that you put extra efforts into. This is not your first season, is that right?
No. My first season was in 23, So
got it.
I think it's the start of my 4th
got it.
season
Okay.
as GM, but I got here in 21, so I did 2 years as AGM and then.
Got it. Okay. And just so you know, the reason we got connected is because the mayor told me that he's leaning on you and some other local businesses to make sure that this is the best year ever because it's the 30th anniversary, or let's not miss the opportunity that there's exciting programming and that kind of stuff.
There's a lot going on, and mayor shot me a text and he said, "Hey, this is what's going on." I'm like, "Anything for you, mayor. Let's do it."
So talk to me a little bit about run a show. Like what kinds of things are going to make this season different than others?
Yeah, I think trying to tie in the 30th anniversary into to, most of the things that we do is really important, and there's a story to tell, right? We have 30 years of history that we can tell, and I think that's, part of the game. I mean, baseball is such a historical game. If you look back, to the turn of the century and where baseball was and how it's kind of been perceived throughout the years, I think it's just a piece of Americana,
Yep.
So I think that's really important. And it just ties in so well to what we had already wanted to do as a staff this year is, the Lugnuts have always been so good at putting on a show and having a really exciting promo calendar and theme nights and fun stuff going on. And we just really wanted to dive into like, how can we take that a step further? Not that we ever thought that it was bad or like the experience had kind of gone down in any way, but it's like, man, there's so much more that we can do. So it kind of tied in nicely with the 30th anniversary. So we were able to go back and look through the 30 years of Lugnuts baseball and see things that we wanted to kind of refresh and bring back that maybe we lost over the years. And then we kind of were able to look at our show and say, okay, this is where we can add some excitement into the atmosphere. We can't control the baseball. That's one thing that you'll always hear me say is, I don't know if we're going to win 20-1 or lose, 20-1. But what I can control is, are the hot dogs hot? Are the beers cold? Is the promotion fun? Does the bobblehead look good? All that kind of stuff. So we really took the 30th anniversary year as an opportunity to say, okay, we're gonna really kind of bring it this year from the excitement and the vibe inside of the ballpark. So the 30th anniversary is tied into that, but we're adding a lot more live music on the concourse. We're adding some characters that we haven't rolled out in the stadium before, just to have a little fun, like ushertainers. Some of these things that you see in some of these other ballparks, as I alluded to, every idea in minor league baseball is stolen. So we're looking around at some of our counterparts across the country and seeing what they really do well and what they're known for. Oh, how do we get that in Lansing? Let's go ahead and try to figure that out. So more music, more characters, ushertainers, just a different vibe inside the ballpark that, also enhances the 30th anniversary and says, okay, this is where we came from over the last 30 years and this is where we're going. You know what I mean? So to us, it's kind of like a turning point. And so we're really excited about that. And, Friday night was a great example. We got to celebrate Mayor Hollister's birthday, who was instrumental in bringing the Lugnuts to the area and kind of tie that in. So throughout the course of the year, you're going to see a lot of little odds and ends like that where we kind of look back through the past and celebrate what's kind of happened and then show our fans this is where we're going with the different kind of experience that you're going to see inside the ballpark. So I think it's a cool mix.
That's great. Well, I wanted to remind everyone that the folks at Keller Williams do a bang-up job here in the Mid-Michigan region. So we all need a place to call home, and Chris Silker of Keller Williams Advantage and Team offers the expertise that you're looking for. He's helped clients navigate the complicated world of real estate in Mid-Michigan for over 10 years, providing the best information possible at the right time to empower your best decisions. Whether you're a first-time home buyer looking for a local expert to guide you from point A to point B, searching for an income property in the competitive Lansing market, right-sizing your life, or simply searching for that dream home, Chris Silker and the Advantage and Team is a name to trust in Greater Lansing real estate. Visit advantageandteam.com or give Chris a call directly at 517-242-9251 today to find the home of your dreams. So putting on all of that stuff, in the user experience, the game day, so the people who buy tickets and go in are like, wow, I was here 2 years ago, or I come 3 times a season, and it's my first time this season to come. And I noticed, this is Chris Buck talking, I noticed personally in the outfield, I think you have the Hall of Fame plaques out there and the banners, and you have kiosks that are talking about the different seasons. I mean, that's all new.
Yeah.
And I love picking out those extra things. I actually talked to one of your grounds guys who has branded, and I'm like, I saw your picture on the website. I haven't met you before. I'll just tell the audience I've never met Zac before. Yeah. And I'm like, kind of look like Zac, but I don't think you are. I'm like, hey. And he told me what his role was. I'm like, okay, it's not him. But the pride that he brought to it. I said, is that new? And is that new? And he opened up and talked about, we have this new restaurant over here, and they're not open tonight. It's early in the season, and the tickets are down. It's a little cold, but this is going to be turned on. And when you come back in the warmer weather, and we got this big thing going on. So the experience is your responsibility for when people that get there. Is it your responsibility also to brand? Like, do you push the messaging out to try to drive more people to the game itself, or is that a different department?
Yeah, no, I mean, that Our marketing team does a really good job of that. And, even in the last couple of years, we've seen such a boom with like digital marketing and the expansion of that, because when I first started in the business, it was all about Facebook, right? And it was free, and you could put it out there and you didn't have to pay for it, and people could see your message. Well, people have moved, right? And what I mean by that is, like, maybe not everybody's on Facebook anymore. Maybe people moved to TikTok, or they moved to Instagram or Twitter. And now there's so many more places where our fans are looking for information, and it's kind of become a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah, right.
To where, where are we going to put the messaging, and how are we going to, let fans know what's going on? Because we can't, like, long gone are the days where we can just put everything on Facebook and know that all of our fans saw the information.
Right.
So digital marketing has kind of expanded. So we have a lot of help from our ownership team, Diamond Baseball Holdings. They have a marketing department, a digital marketing department that's helping with that. And so we're still able to kind of focus locally, boots on the ground, of like, okay, we know this segment of our fan base is on Facebook, this segment's on Instagram, this segment's on TikTok, and this is the voice we want to use across those platforms, and this is the messaging we want to put out. And as we kind of go through and build that, DBH is able to kind of take those audiences and help say, okay, from a digital perspective, this is where we're going to put all this information, and this is how we're going to message it out. So it's very expansive, and it's gotten pretty convoluted, but I think we're doing a pretty good job of sifting through and figuring out where we need to place messaging, whether this brand is in the ballpark, it's brand new. Like, we just got a deal done with Carbless on the red box pop, which is underneath is a grab and go location where you can grab snacks and drinks and that kind of thing. But on top, there's also a seating area. So, like, how are we?
I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah.
It's kind of an eyesore a little bit if you don't know what it is. But, like, let's message that out, and let's tell fans, like, what's happening and what's going on. And, again, you can't just put it in one location and expect everybody to see it. We kind of have to play that game of, like, where are we placing everything and how's it all going?
Right.
So, yes, my background is marketing and sales, so, like, I'm heavily involved in that just because I enjoy it and I'm passionate about it. I've been doing it for a long time, but that takes an army, to get all of that, messaging out the way we want it and how we want it. So, and then a lot of people come in and say, oh, well, that's new. I didn't see this, but this is cool. And then, to your point, you kind of ask, some of our staff, and hopefully they're friendly and courteous and take the time to explain everything and say, yeah, this is new. This is something we're doing new. And I think that's part of the experience, though, too.
Yep.
Right. Coming to the ballpark and exploring and feeling it out. The ballpark is a very social space, and we have it set up that way intentionally. I don't expect anyone to go purchase a ticket to row 12, seat 21, and sit there for 9 innings.
Right.
We don't want that necessarily. We want you roaming around the ballpark, checking out the Hall of Fame, checking out the different things we have going on. There's a kids area. There's always a balloon twister, a face painter,
I saw
live
that
music.
Today too.
Yeah. So, it's set up like that intentionally. And so our hope is that people are roaming around the ballpark and going out and checking out Good Hops, because Good Hops is a bar restaurant area where there's food out there that you're not going to get at Chrome Plated Grill up behind home plate. That's more Chrome Plated Grill is more burgers and dogs than your typical ballpark fare. But if you go out to Good Hops, you can get I think it's like a 14-inch pizza tray that has nachos on it, like just fun stuff like that.
Right.
So we're encouraging fans to explore too, and kind of look around and see what draws their attention, and oh, hey, what was that thing? I just noticed that, and those are the conversations we're looking
or
to
see
have.
another person at the game saying, dude, where'd you get that?
Yeah, where is
they're
that?
walking around with a plate of something or a drink that looks different than what they've got. Now, I saw in center field, there were a lot of those four top heavy duty kind of picnic tables, so you can watch the game right at the fence line. And then I don't know if it was there before, but right field end to first base, you've got that kind of built-in bar with all the stools. The stools at least are new this season. I don't know, was the bar there too?
Yeah, the drink rail was there, but you could kind of just stand and so we've added to that. The cool thing about that area is because the kid zone's right there, so mom and dad might not want to leave their seat. Maybe they do want to watch the game. Maybe dad wants to sit there and watch the game, or mom doesn't want to go stand out in the kid zone, whatever the case may be. But so we've built that in so that mom and dad can maybe go grab a drink at the bar. The kids are in the play area, but there's a great view to watch the game. There's good food out there. So, it's all intentional. And it's like, people ask me all the time, like, hey, you're the GM. Like, if you were coming as a fan, what would you do at a Lugnuts game? And I'm like, I would go out to Good Hops. You know what I mean? And I would drive. I would take the kids out there, let them play around on the bounce castles. You know, my wife and I grab a drink, sit at the drink rail there, or the bar stools, and watch the game. And the kids are right there, and everybody's, you know, happy and
safe. And,
you know, So but that's such the essence of what we're after inside of the ballpark on the game day, and the experience that we're trying to give to people. That's exactly it.
Right. And if you haven't been to a live baseball game in a while, and even watching it on TV, in my opinion, I'm a huge fan of the pitch clock and mound visits and all those kinds of things to keep the pace of play going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's now more digestible. It was hard for me to advocate that baseball isn't a boring sport 5 years ago. But now, I mean, now if you go to a Tigers game in particular or whatever, you go up and get a beer in the concourse from your seat, you might miss 2 innings.
You're gonna, you know, and that's such an interesting thing for me, because for me, I'm such a baseball purist at heart, you know, and I love the 1-0 game that took 4 hours. Like I was all on board for that. But being in the business that I'm in and doing what I do, I understand that can't be the basis of what the game is. Like we need higher energy, faster pace, more, you get action, right? So it's been a really nice transition, I think. And I think if I have this right, we went from a 3:37 game time, 3 hours and 37 minute game time the year before the pitch clock was implemented, with 12 games out of 66 at home that went over 4 hours, to an average game time of like right around 2 hours and 21 minutes. And games rarely go over 3 hours. You know, now I probably jinx us and we're going to have a ton of 4-hour games. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it is good. It's good for the fan. It's good for the more casual consumer.
Yep.
It does hurt my baseball purist heart just a little bit, I think. But I do think the rule changes have been very well received. They have hit the mark on what the intention was.
Yep.
And I do think it's good for the game. And, you know, we're seeing a lot now with like ABS in the big leagues and all the challenges and stuff. That hasn't seemed to offend anyone or hurt the game in any way. It's just a quick head tap. They play the picture. Yep, that ball was a strike, and then we move on. And I think it's good for the game. You know, so all of these things I think are extremely positive, but I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say, hey, when they were rolling these things out, I was like, I don't know, man, this isn't baseball, you know, but it is, and it's where we're headed, and the game is better for it.
Yeah.
You know?
So kind of final thought in my mind, are you engaging with any, either your existing sponsors or any of the other neighboring entities to kind of have baseball spill out into the community more, or is most of your 30th celebrations just new, unique in ballpark?
Yeah, we definitely want, so it's always our intention to not just focus solely on the stadium, right? We want to be out in the community. We want to have Big Lug out in the community at, you know, whether it's Silver Bells Parade or the 4th of July celebration or any of those kinds of things that people reach out to us for. But we want to take Big Lug to the libraries and read to the kids. We want to take Big Lug to the hospitals and go lift the spirits of the kids. We want the players out in the community signing autographs and doing those things. And I think this year it's going to be a bigger year for us on that front, because there's the Strikeout Baseball Stadium that's just up the road from the Capitol.
Yep.
There's some other things that we're involved in that we're going to be doing. So you're going to see some Strikeout Baseball camps with Lugnuts players in attendance. You're going to see, you know, a lot more of the hospital visits and the libraries and the parades and all that kind of stuff. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like the 30th anniversary was a great excuse for us to do that, but it's also a turning point where that's going to kind of be more of the norm, and being visible in the community and being more accessible in the community and not just at the stadium, I think is incredibly important. And that's something that we have worked pretty tirelessly on this offseason. So hopefully our fans see that. You know, we did a lot of work on that, and that's something that's incredibly important to us.
Right on. Wow, that's great. Is there anything else you want to share about your 30th season or Lugnuts in general as we kind of kick off this April
Yeah, I mean, I think for all your listeners out there, when you come to the stadium and you see the vibe and you kind of hear what we've talked about here today, you know, we'd love our feedback. You know, our staff is recognizable. They'll have name tags on. You'll be able to know. But, you know, good, bad, or ugly, we're always trying to get better. So this is something that is new for us, and we hope that you guys feel that it's new and exciting. And if we miss the mark, we want to hear about it. If we hit the mark, we want to hear about it, you know, and I think that's really important, that feedback, because we are listening and we are trying to evolve and grow our show to be that much better.
Is there a kind of run a show as far as like on your website?
Yeah.
First of all, what is your website?
Yeah, LansingLugnuts.com is our website. But our website has everything. It has our FAQ. It has our know before you go. If you have any questions about weather, that's going to be on our Facebook and stuff. So the website and our Facebook page, that's going to be a lot of that run of show information. Yep. Hey, tonight's game,
special events and fireworks and guests or okay.
Yeah, so it's all going to be on there, but on our website and on our Facebook. But we're going to tell you, hey, the gate's open at this time. We've got this live music. We've got this going on after the game, or we're giving away this item. So yeah, it's all going to be there, and we're gonna post it, in other locations, Instagram, X, you name it. But like, that's the best place to reach us. And then of course on our website, you can shop at our team store on our website. You can buy tickets on our teams. You can sign up for a premium venue on our team store, and one of our sales guys will reach out to you if you want to bring a group to a suite or the Pepsi porch or the tailgate terrace. You can find all that information on there, and we're very easy to find, and we'll our guys are pretty responsive.
Come running.
Yeah. So we'll get you in there if you want to be in there, and we're just really excited for the season. The vibe should be totally different in a good way. We're bringing the energy, and so far, we only had 2 games with the Dragons. Saturday got canceled, but we had the Crosstown Showdown, and so far we're really pleased with the turnout and how things went, given the weather and those kind of things. We can't control those things, but we're still going to have a good time.
Awesome. Well, great story. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Go Nuts.
Go Nuts.
And we've been talking with the general manager for the Lansing Lugnuts in their 30th anniversary season, Mr. Zac Clark. Appreciate you telling your story. Go to LansingLugnuts.com and buy your tickets.
Thanks. I really appreciate coming on. This was a lot of fun.
Great. And I'd love to give a final shout out to all our loyal sponsors. We've got Wagoner Financial, Good Marketing, Triterra Environmental, Keller Williams Advantage and Team, Michigan Rise, Kirk Byron, State Farm, and the attorneys at Foster Swift. All fantastic people who are worth the call. And if you found the show as a one-off, I ask you to like and subscribe to Michigan Reimagined pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts. This is Chris Buck signing off for Michigan Reimagined.